Welcome everybody to your weekly energy report. However the cards and spirit feel the collaborative flow, we shall see, because I haven't pulled any cards yet, and right now it sounds as though there's some kind of a bomber going over the area that I live in. How are you? What an intensely emotional period of time this has been, in the sense that, well, I shouldn't say emotional, it is emotional, but moody. That's the word that comes to my mind. Intensely moody. And the pressure's on. The good news is all planets have now turned direct. There are no retrogrades at all for the next couple of months. And usually there's a sense of levity and a sense of forward movement that comes about immediately with that. I can certainly see breakthrough energy in terms of how I perceive myself, what my experience means to me. Usually that becomes more clear. And there's generally a sense of alleviation, in the sense that we become less heavy in our approach. But I have to be perfectly frank in saying that as we have a third conjunction of Mercury and Pluto coming up the week ahead, followed by the full moon in Leo in just over a week. We'll discuss that in our next video. We're not out of the woods yet by any means. If you're caught in this heavy energy. And I imagine on some level you probably have felt this. I mean, let's be honest. It's inevitable from the simple perspective of the time of year that it is. You know, there's that desire to pull out of the darkness of winter into spring, and February and March tend to make us hyper aware of just how cold the world is in and out. So the Pluto-Mercury conjunction really points to another little chapter of self-doubt, discomfort, gloom, perhaps dread. You know, if you're feeling any of these things, remind yourself that they are in part provoked by the energies of this time. But, you know, of course, nothing's haphazard. There's a reason and a purpose for that, right? And if we don't pay attention to the feelings that we're having, we can't really get to the bottom of how we move beyond our hurdles and blockages. And so when there is a sense of dread that we feel, generally it's because we're out of alignment with our faith, we're out of alignment with our sense of purpose. And you know, so much of this is still deeply Capricornian, in the sense that so much of it is embedded in power structure, how we perceive power, how we allow ourselves to express our own power. Are we able to subtly control our narrative by surrendering to the moment and surrendering our ego in our experiences? Or do we hold on tight have an inner narrative that directs everything as if it's us against the rest of the world, and then find ourselves confronted with situations that probably aren't quite as provocative as they end up being experienced as, and subsequently we explode, or we find ourselves, our emotions and our feelings about any given situation to be unbearable, untenable, and therefore the need, we have a deep need to walk away, or to, nothing is wrong, whatever you're choosing to do or however you're feeling, but at the same time, if you're feeling those things, it's just an indication that there's something to listen to in your experience, right? That maybe you're not listening to. Which deck should we use? Okay. I did get the four of, when I was pre-shuffling the cards earlier, I did get the, there's the Hangman. I did get the Four of Cups come up twice. There it is again, right in front of me as I say it. What is the Four of Cups? The Four of Cups is, to me, that feeling, it's almost the ineffable feeling of what gets in our way, that holds us back and makes us feel like nothing is good enough, that there's no point. It's being constrained, confined by our own unwillingness to find passion in our lives. And subsequently we find ourselves feeling empty, feeling like less than, feeling like we don't have enough, feeling like what we do have isn't good enough, isn't going to meet the requirements of the path that we think we're on. When nothing could be further from the truth, in the sense that what we're supposed to be doing is actually finding ways to integrate our experiences and surrendering to them as being purposeful, right? And when we feel out of alignment, we fall into that Four of Pentacles energy. And it's that sense of having no direction, like everywhere you look brings a sense of discomfort, dread even, as I said. And here, I'm just be honest with you, we're getting a lot of cards that point to some difficult, restrictive, uncomfortable energy that's coming to a head, but that we fortunately will be moving through this week. So let us see where that takes us, because this journey that I'm looking at here isn't well, I'm seeing it all and understanding that it's just part of the process, and I'm very frustrated with a lot of different things right now in my life, so it's hardly surprising to me that I would feel that way. What I feel, so I'll express that to you, because I hope that it has some form of inspiring message to it, and that is that I'm sick of accommodating other people again. I'm sick of being in the position where people treat me as subordinate, but require my assistance and my action on everything. And people are hypocrites. People put forth that, they'll even instruct you or advise you to function one way, and then come along and contradict the very processes that they're putting forth because it doesn't suit their agenda. So it's like, basically, you're supposed to have one set of rules with the rest of the world according to them, and then a different set of rules with them. And frankly, I don't work that way. And I'm getting to that point again where I don't really care if everything implodes in my life and I have to walk away from a lot of things. If it's infringing on my personal sovereignty to the degree where I'm not able to be fully myself, and again, I've talked about this with you guys many times before. It's a perpetual nightmare to be in when you cannot find wealth in your personal life, to define that as being your primary driving force that should be filled with joy, healthfulness, kindness, receptivity, as much as generosity, because you're so consumed with the 3D matrix bullshit materialistic narrative of poverty consciousness, which is to find ourselves perpetually in a role of need and therefore lack, because those needs can never really be fulfilled. Because let's face it, the more you earn from a job, if you're working for a corporation or for somebody else, the more you're going to be in the position where you feel beholden to the structure of authority in which disperses your salary, your worth, and that really is the same if you're running your own business at the end of the day, because your business has to your business has to turn a profit, right? I mean, our whole society is built off of the idea of needing. I mean, the very essence of capitalism is based on the idea of needing to perpetuate the profit margin increase, right? So it's an impossible endeavor, and one that sets us up for failure and disappointment, as in all other things, and it becomes exhausting trying to figure out how to navigate that and what it all really means. And I mean, who are we without our jobs, without fitting in to something else, So, okay. So, all those questions are really, excuse me, the essence of the energy that we are experiencing right now. I'm moving slightly over here because I feel like the light is too weird behind me. Anyway, I don't even know how much of that really made sense, what I was just talking about, but it is an endless loop that we will find ourselves in, because when we live in the paradigm where we have to earn a living and we don't have the capacity or the infrastructure to do so without being dependent on an outside infrastructural process, we will always find ourselves in this narrative of negotiation unless we prioritize the worth of our independent, unique life journey and source. Because while a professional life does take up a lot of our time, and it does give us the income that we need in order to sustain ourselves, it is not the most important thing in our lives by any means. In fact, it's the very least important, other than the dependency that we have. So how do we reframe that? And I think the Pluto-Mercury conjunction is very much about that. So that's where that tight squeeze is coming from. It's like, can you figure out how to redefine your path at this juncture to one where you are moving more towards personal satisfaction, personal needs being met, personal feelings being acknowledged and processed. I'm going to leave it at that because the rest will come out through the reading. So let's get into this because we have a lot of cards here. I will... Well, let's start with our soul journey cards because I pulled 3 for some reason. And I will read them all because they each have their independent message. So we have courage. Can't really see it like that. I find the inner strength to face fear with confidence. Sorry, it's hard to read it backwards. Let's read the courage card. When I read these, I just want to clarify. I'm sure it's very obvious for most of you, but these are not my words. I take the opportunity to give the reading out to you so that you interpret it to your own circumstances accordingly. So I hope that makes sense to you. You need to remind yourself that part of the challenge of being a soul is learning to honor your own power. By listening to your inner voice and following its advice, you are acknowledging the perfection of your intuition. Fear is only an illusion, and obstacles are great opportunities for you to demonstrate that coming from a place of love will conquer all of fear's disguises, which is the hardest thing to do, right? Especially if you're resentful or frustrated or feeling, consumed by somebody else or something else that is not your desired priority, then you're dealing with resentment, which is full of resistance. So that's antithetical, right? Perhaps you are changing career paths or entering or exiting a relationship. This test has been put before you because it's an opportunity to prove to yourself that you and only you can make the correct decision. By not taking that step forward, you may find yourself 2 steps back, only to face the same obstacle again. Yeah, there's a reckoning in this energy. There's a reckoning to how we... First of all, how we expose ourselves to elements outside of ourselves, and then how we integrate them, how we process them and then integrate them, how we receive them, right? And here's our 2 clues as to how we receive them from the same deck. Gratitude. I am thankful for this life and the opportunities that it presents. I'm not grateful for very loud American girls in Los Angeles who walk around very entitled, but you can't win them all, right? This soulful card is telling you that it's time to stop, close your eyes, and become mindful of the incredible gift the universe has bestowed upon you in offering valuable and unique lessons, tailored especially for your soul. This is an important reminder to express your appreciation for what has been, what will be, and most important, who you are. It is time to acknowledge to the universe how thankful you are for being provided these opportunities for insights and understanding. It is also time for your soul to share recognition of all those loved ones in your life, upon the earth or in spirit, who have helped form who you are now. You may even find it helpful to begin to write a list of all the things you are grateful for in your life. When you put forth the contemplation and the energy to do this, it awakens thoughts that acknowledge your connection to all that is. By bringing yourself into a state of gratitude, it not only has a transformative effect on the energy in the sacred space around you, but also brings about an overall sense of health and well-being. We always can use a reminder to be more grateful. It's part of being present, right? But it is hard. And it's especially hard when we're suffering from, and you'll see the correlation between these three cards, courage, gratitude, and the final card that came out from that deck, self-esteem. I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. So that's really ultimately what you end up needing to be grateful for, right? A Mercury's conjuncting Pluto will have this effect. A lot of that gloom and doom, potential feeling of dread or chaos, lurking in the recesses of your periphery, that's kind of what that is, So it's easy to perceive others. Sorry, I forgot to read the subtitle. I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. Maybe I read that, I don't know. It's easy to perceive others as being better than you. This is a trap of the ego. There is no one greater or lesser than you. There are only those who have learned how to reveal their gifts to a greater or lesser degree. Everyone is born with unique abilities of the soul, and just like snowflakes, no two are ever alike. You have a unique perspective to share with the world and have come back this time to put your stamp on it. So I'm going to just give an example of this. So perhaps you find yourself on the receiving end of somebody grandstanding with you, or stepping over your boundaries, and your natural response is to resist and to put boundaries in place and be really, really frustrated and judgmental of the person. And it's really hard to forgive those, and certainly to circumvent and move beyond and not take the bait of frustration with somebody who is like that with you, especially if there's a hierarchical dynamic, such as in a workplace or a family structure or whatever it may be. Because the truth of the matter is that those people doing that are causing you a perception of harm, right? Infringement, violation. But the key to that is that in your self-esteem being strong, and therefore you being in gratitude for the conundrum, for the purpose that it serves, to bring your attention to the fact that you have self-esteem, you know your self-worth, you don't need to have that diminished or reinforced by another person if you have that knowledge. You have to focus on practicing with that knowledge, which takes courage. Because it will not change anything, because you're not in control of other people's karma. That person, in doing that, still hasn't learned that lesson, even if they think they're awake, even if they think that they are self-aware, even if they think that they're deeply spiritual. That's their lesson to learn. You're able to observe that and see it from your perspective, but it doesn't really matter, right? That's not the problem. That's your ego. It's my ego that's getting in the way, going like, how dare she or he function that way with me? With me, right? It's ego. It's just ego. And it sucks because it's very potent and powerful. And we all fall into that trap. No matter how kumbaya'd you are in life, it's there. You probably, if you are like, most people that are, present themselves as being very Pollyanna-ish in terms of their wellness and spirituality, they probably go home and eat like a, shit ton of chocolate, or, drug themselves, or, some other form of escapism. Me included. I do that all the time, I try to keep the balance, but there's a reward system that the wounded ego requires, For some people, it's like gratuitous sex. For other people, it's, hurting other people or themselves, you know? I mean, we all hurt ourselves, right? Psychologically and under those circumstances, so, you know. But that's part of the process. So let's read the final paragraph of this self-esteem message. Perhaps you may not be aware or even in tune with your incredible and gifted self. Why not try to make a list of 10 aspects of yourself or abilities you possess that you love and hold in high regard? It's not always easy to write about yourself, but sometimes you need to be reminded just how special you are. Remember that you did not come down to this schoolroom by accident. You have meaning and a reason for being. You are a treasure chest of incredible gifts and insights. Now is the time to celebrate you. Yeah. And you can't sit around waiting for other people to celebrate you, because most of the time they won't. People celebrate you when you're self-sufficient. It's just the nature of the beast, you know. Yeah, so anyway, moving on. Let us read our Spirit Animal Oracle card of the week, which I did pull one this week because I felt that it would be helpful. Number 65, Whale Spirit, trust the great mystery. And there is a sense of there being something very mysterious that we're not quite catching up with or onto just yet. So let's hear what the message from Whale Spirit is. Whale Spirit is an ancient creature who was here at the beginning of time and who has seen everything, felt everything, and heard everything that has ever transpired on this planet. In the hidden realms, where all things must gather first before manifesting into form, Whale Spirit is the keeper, singing the soul of the whole world from the deepest waters of the coldest seas. When Whale Spirit appears, it's a reminder that there is a great mystery that you must accept without intellectually trying to understand it. Some things cannot be known by the mind, only experienced through the heart, through intuition, and through the peripheral senses that part the invisible veils separating the visible world from the great manifesting consciousness in the hidden realms. Now is the time for you to immerse yourself in that great mystery of spirit and to trust that within the invisible, what you can't see now are the seeds of your intentions being tended to by the angels. Certainty is not offered to you right now, potentially. You are being asked to trust the process of co-creation. Whale Spirit reminds you that your primary reality is not that of the material world, but that of the realm of spirit, from which the essence of your dreams and desires take shape before arriving at a specific form. You must trust absolutely that what will come will be for your highest good. Stay in your present moment awareness and allow the hidden realms to hold your intentions safely until it is time for them to manifest in the realm of form. Let go, for you will not be left far behind. Some things take longer than others to arrive. And I will tell you that also, when I was pulling cards, the Hanged Man card came out as an indicator of our broad spiritual energy at this time. And so that makes sense too. In fact, all of these cards really are tying nicely in with each other from a metaphysical perspective. So I hope that that's being conveyed to you. Our Sufi Wisdom Oracle card only further reinforces this message. Way of faith. Let faith be your guide. From Rumi, when faith becomes all love, we enter into greatness. From that source, we spread love to all life. We then live in abundance. There is a divine gift inside you that holds the key to your confidence and trust. I mean, it's all there. That key opens a mysterious inner chamber that reveals the secrets of love to you. It is the entrance to the greatness of your ultimate capacity. You will be like a lantern that spreads light around it. An invisible support will sustain and empower you to enter a vast unknown with total confidence. Dear one, surrender faithfully to the unrecognized path and benefit from the divine gift that is inside you. Live your dream, risk it all, and take a chance. Have faith that the potential for love is infused into your life. When you surrender to your heart, clues and the guidelines to follow them appear along the way. And that is very key. Surrender to your heart. That is so hard to do because we build ourselves a plethora of hurdles and obstacles and justifications for why we can never follow our heart and we follow our heads. Think about that. I gotta think about that. What does that mean in your life right now? Because I can't answer that question off the top of my head because I don't really know what my heart wants. Bring your dream into reality by having faith that you can face the obstacles along the way. As you master your reality, you will flow toward abundance in the fullness of love. Mantra: I have faith in my power to face the unknown. I have full assurance that I am not making a mistake, nor am I afraid of making one if I do. And that's the ultimate freedom. If you could, let go of that. Excuse me twice. We really do get in our own way, and we're so fearful. And we cause ourselves all kinds of chaos and problems by restricting ourselves. And I've done it. I've built this prison, cozy prison. It's all the ego that does that. We look for safety and security, and then we compromise and compromise and compromise and compromise and so on into that sense of comfort, because comfort and security are very alluring and seem essential because we are all trying to be part of a system that doesn't actually, it's kind of rigged against us, right? Our uniqueness, our talents, what we love, those things are not encouraged.
Okay.
So, we have to refocus on that. And I'm going to read, sorry, I got distracted and then sort of had a total blank in my head, and then I was immediately just drawn to the medicine card so that we read it, because this is what we need to know next. Medicine. Let's see what medicine is. Lead by example, share your knowledge with others. Found in employment, social circles, families, organizations, and spiritual groups, leaders nurture, guide, and support us through life at all levels and in all situations. People seek out leaders for survival, purpose, and achievement. The ability to heal and work with different energies and the gift of vision are the medicine of the shaman, bridging the world of earth, nature, self, and spirit. Looking to a leader or elder for guidance and mentorship is essential now. Remember, true leaders empower, direct, and facilitate transformation. A false leader, however, can tear down progress, destabilize social networks, and create spiritual cults. Powerful healing energy is around you now. You are strongly connected to shamanic medicine. Journey within the realms to learn and share in the messages from your ancestors. Past life journeys can reawaken your soul's natural gifts and access your ancestral power to enlighten and illuminate your direction. Right now, you need to harness the power of natural remedies, herbal medicines, and natural skincare products. Visit a professional to assist you to support your mind, body, and spirit. Use complementary medicine in addition to traditional healing methods. You are a natural healer. You are being asked to utilize your natural talents in the healing arts. Whether for counseling, energy practice, holistic, or Western medicine, you are encouraged now to explore your gifts with purpose. Take a leadership role. You have the knowledge and guidance to heal yourself as well as others. Lead by example. Be humble and graceful in your approach. Affirmation: I am a powerful healer. The power of the universe shines within me. I am a powerful light bringer. Again, we get caught up in the matrix and we disempower ourselves of all of our spiritual worth and wealth. Because nobody wants to validate that, because the ego, everybody's ego gets in the way. I heard it many times over the years of my spiritual awakening. Why you? How do you know any more than anybody else? It's like, I don't. I mean, I do by process of learning, but, I got there through an enormous amount of dark nights of the soul, like near-death experiences, suicidal ideation, nihilism, complete loneliness, abandonment, rejection, being the exploring the nothingness of being in the position where nobody cared, and I was invisible, and I had no value to anybody else. So I had to figure out what my value was to myself, and that was the beginning of an awakening. And over the course of time, obviously as a result of the intensity of those experiences, I learned to open myself up to sources of spiritual knowledge and to start using my mind to explore Spirit's message. But most people are not that receptive. You can only really teach by example. What we do here is collaborative, it's exploratory. So people can take it or leave it as they do. Very often I find it very amusing in terms of viewership on my channel, because weeks when I find that I've done a pretty ditzy kind of mundane energy reading, which is, I understand, is very often what people want, I'll get much higher viewerships. And then the weeks when there's actually sort of secrets of the universe revealed in my mind, I'll get almost nobody watch a video. And again, I put it out there at this point. It's an exercise in spirituality for me, so I get as much out of it as hopefully you do. But yeah, I don't know what to say beyond that. It's one of those interesting things. We got 3 cards that I will not read from the Sacred Destiny Oracle, just to give us an idea of where we stand. We have diligence. So again, I think that ties in with all of this, courage, gratitude, self-esteem, faith, trust the great mystery, all faith-based. Diligence is part of faith, really, It's being mindful. New beginnings. And love. So these are the underlying themes of the week ahead, and I am quite certain that we will see that, because you will see in our energy of our tarot that it is pretty much an arc from a not so pleasant place to newness. So let us start with our underlying energy of the week. Interesting, because we had this heavily in our last reading, but it did come out in the reverse again, or maybe not again, I don't remember, but 7 of Wands in the reverse. This means that we're moving beyond the defensiveness. We're moving beyond the need to defend. Again, this is that egoic shedding, you know. I know that that's what this whole process is about, because I know that's what it is in my life. It will be for all of us. It just depends on what you're doing and as to how that affects you. We also got 2 Osho Zen tarot cards to clarify the energy of the week, and what those are source, which is I think the Ace of Wands, and friendliness, which is the 2 of Cups. So I'm going to read those for us because they're important messages, and these really do define where this is all going, I think. You focus on that. When we speak of being grounded or centered, it is the source we're talking about. When we begin a creative project, it's this source that we tune into. This card reminds us that there is a vast reservoir of energy available to us, and that we tap into it not by thinking and planning, but by getting grounded, centered, and silent enough to be in contact with the source. It is within each of us, like a personal individual sun giving us life and nourishment, pure energy pulsating, available. It is ready to give us anything we need to accomplish. Anything we need to accomplish something, and ready to welcome us back home when we want to rest. So whether you are beginning something new and need inspiration right now, or you've just finished something and want to rest, go to the source. It's always waiting for you, and you don't have to even step out of your house to find it. And I think it's important to think of that in terms of faith. That is the great mystery of whale spirit. It is the courage, gratitude, and self-esteem. It is the way of faith. That is what this is all about. It's trusting the journey, right? And whatever this is, it is leading to a pretty intense opening on an emotional level, which we've been seeing hints of in our recent readings. Again, timelines are broad, but, 2 of Cups as our underlying energy is a pretty strong indication that there's a emotional openness coming about that will then manifest in our outside relationships. So it's like an increase of the potentiality in our relationships, right? The branches of these 2 flowering trees are intertwined, and their fallen petals blend together on the ground in their beautiful colors. It is as if heaven and earth are bridged by love, but they stand individually, each rooted in the soil in their own connection with the earth. In this way, they represent the essence of true friends, mature, easy with each other, natural. There is no urgency about their connection, no neediness, no desire to change the other into something else. This card indicates a readiness to enter this quality of friendliness. In the passage, you may notice that you are no longer interested in all kinds of dramas and romances that other people are engaged in. It is not a loss. It is the birth of a higher, more loving quality born of the fullness of experience. It is the birth of a love that is truly unconditional, without expectations or demands. Which is the ideal, right? That is the way of faith. That is the trusting the great mystery. That is the love of source, grounded in source, But of course, we're undoubtedly under the spell of corporatism and false promise of satisfaction coming outside of us. And this is the month of Valentine's Day, a complete fabrication that specifically seems to be placed to make people feel inadequate when they don't have conventional relationships, right? I mean, that's all I can see in Valentine's Day at this point, Seeking validation outside of yourself and wasting money in the process too. So there you have it. I mean, don't focus on the negativity of what I just put out. I didn't mean it in a negative way, but I understand how that can be triggering for people to be seen as negative. No, for me, I'm talking simply about the vastness and the expansiveness of our emotional potentiality, right? And it couldn't be clearer than in our past we have a serious problem with that, because what the energy is that we're coming out of is our sorrow, Five of Cups, sorrow driven reality, where we focus on our lack, our loss, what we cannot transcend, what we cannot let go of, and how that is the sole thing that's holding us back. And we have this moon card here, which clearly is the indication from a timestamp perspective of, the full moon, which I believe, when is the full moon? The full moon, it's next week. I think it's like the 14th or the 15th, I think. Can't remember. I think it's the 15th. Anyway, so it's coming up. So the resolution may come with this. The new moon is obviously what triggered this realization within us. And of course, we're in that temperance process between, choosing, like, do we conform or do we allow ourselves to be set free? This is, the lunacy versus the sanity, really neither is right or wrong. It's a yin and yang thing. What we really need is surrender to the flow. Because this emotional lack, this feeling of loss that we're anchored in, this feeling of being triggered into imbalance, mental imbalance, leads to embodying the King of Pentacles in reverse, which is an indication of us being totally outside of our worth, totally outside of alignment in our worth, and unable to really harness the gifts of whatever is on offer to us. So I'm going to take a clarifier on those three cards together because I just want to understand how to... Okay, so here we have the Seven of Cups. So the Seven of Cups gives us a strong indication that really it's that we're focused on, everything that we don't have, the infinite possibility in our mind of where we can be led on our led astray by temptation, really, by not being grounded, by not being present, by not understanding what the potentiality is in our circumstances, instead focusing on the loss, the sense of things not being, it's being in that position of saying things will never be like that again in my life. Well, that's very true, because time continues to move along and you continue to evolve and mature, etc., etc. But the real beauty in that would be to be in the position to be able to see all the potentiality ahead and not be focused just on what you have lost. And what gets in the way of that is looking at all of the false promise. This is why you become a King of Pentacles in reverse, therefore in total poverty consciousness, is being in the position of like all the choices that you will never have. I will never be a professional athlete now that I'm 46. Well, no shit. But that doesn't mean that you can't be a million and one other things, and it certainly doesn't mean that you can't practice the sport that you're passionate about or whatever, on the contrary, it's just, are you doing it for yourself or are you doing it for outside validation, right? That's really what it comes down to. Whatever we're doing, as long as we're not doing it, if we're not doing it for ourselves and we're not doing it for our improvement and etc., then we will never be satisfied. At the center of our reading, we have, swear to God. What's happening? I shall ignore these very loud dogs. I hope you can still hear me. 5 of Pentacles, 4 of Swords, and 2 of Swords. This is our present energy, which I can only say one thing about. That is fucked up. That's poverty consciousness incarnate, indecisiveness incarnate, and I use the term like not in the sense of wishing of like saying sickness and disease, but it is being out of alignment in our mind, body, and spirit, and therefore being run down, being outside of our source energy, being out of alignment, being, unhealthy, spiritually unhealthy is the strong emphasis. This is not a physical thing. This is being spiritually unhealthy. Because we're so much in the lack. We're so much in the feeling of other people having control over us, other aspects of other entities, other, institutions, whatever it is, having control over us. And it triggers all of those things that we have from the trauma of our childhood and adolescence, and any time that we found ourselves confronted with a new form of authority, which is generally authoritarianism over our sovereign free being. So we're in the thick of that. I mean, I can certainly see that. I mean, obviously it's not to the point of, I feel like the darkness has been sort of vanquished in my case, so hopefully you're feeling that shift yourself, but it does require, this is our Leonine energy. The full moon will be in Leo, just so you know, so we're in the thick of that energy as it manifests. Strength, so you have to nurture that. That's the advice there. Nurture your strength, find it, and I'm getting a strong emphasis on the idea of taming the anger in that strength. And 6 of Cups, which in this case is a message of embracing the inner child, nurturing the inner child, being able to self-parent, being able to take the time to take care of ourselves, to hear our cries for help within ourselves, and to nurture ourselves where we need to be nurtured, to allow ourselves to feel the feelings that we are having, to embrace them, to observe them, to work through them, to accept them, not to reject them, not to put ourselves down, not to tell ourselves, oh, grin and bear this, you just need to get your head down and forge ahead, No. The problem will exist, you will work through it in real time, everything changes, everything evolves, circumstances do, which naturally means that what's going on the inside will change too. Beyond that, there's a strong message of self-care. There's a strong message of taking the pressure off of yourself. If there is something that you feel that you need to make a decision about, allow it to be. Trust the great mystery. Let faith be your guide. Nurture your self-esteem. Find gratitude for the things that you can be grateful for, and find courage to not fall into the trap of anything that will cut your nose off to spite your face. That's what comes through. So I hope that's helpful. That's the present energy. The great news is that our outcome energy is all beautiful, fresh, new shifts, the wheel of fate turning, because we have the wheel of fortune, we have the lovers, we have King of Cups, we have the Knight of Wands, and then we also have an Osho deck, which is existence, which is the Fool. So, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? Wheel of Fortune, we're turning the wheel on all of this stuff. You know, this is like deep, deep-rooted stuff, but, you know, there's a real strong emphasis on love, on embracing the other, a resurgence of inspiration in our relationships with the outside world. The Lovers indicates a divine choice, one which is aspected to serve us. It's a great knowingness that this, whatever choice presents itself is for our betterment, the improvement of our circumstances, the alignment of our spiritual force with our manifest destiny. King of Cups, mastery of our emotions in that process. So, you know, this is all the you can see all the turmoil around him. It's the subconscious mind in turmoil, that he sits on his throne above it all, because he knows. He knows what's in his cup. He knows what he has to give, and he holds steady. When you have that inner knowingness, that is a self-confidence that then in turn guarantees the right choice with the Lovers. There's no enchainment here. There's no codependency. There's no misalignment. There's an acceptance that whatever outcome, whatever choice we make is the right choice for us, because it will be divinely aspected to bring the next lesson, the next comeuppance, the next opportunity to level up, right? The Knight of Wands come in a very fast-moving energy. So whatever this shift is that will take place by the end of this week, or this energetic cycle, probably leading up to this full moon. So it's a pre-full moon reading, essentially, this. The Knight of Wands is very much a swift, divinely inspired journeyman coming in. It doesn't mean it's something outside of yourself. This can be your very own energy, but it's like there's a swiftness to this kind of shift from a pretty dark, hopeless, and sorrowful kind of reality that leads to chaos and confusion and feeling out of balance and dissatisfaction, into that, just that breeziness. You know how I'm sure you've had that many times where, you know, you're like depressed or anxious, or, you know, you have all these, you know, just a feeling of gloom and doom and dread and heaviness and enclosure, like being imprisoned, you know, having a pressure, like almost like, you know, just pressure. The atmospheric pressure feels too much. And there can be a feeling of electrical turmoil within, you know, and then somehow a good night's sleep, or a good opportunity, a good experience, you know, good cry, like some good music, like being in the right company, having the right meal, you know, a good workout, whatever it is, and then your whole biochemistry shifts, and it's as if there's a divine shift that comes through you. And the next thing you know, you're embracing your experiences with openness, with generosity, with love, with all these really inspired emotions. And you feel light and buoyant, and your heart feels joy-filled and light and fresh and healthy and bountiful, and you can't really remember why you felt the way that you did. You can't relate to it anymore, and it's miraculous. It really is sort of a miraculous thing. Of course, there's subconscious processes that we're going through that lead to that, and it's because of our own work too. It's not to just place it outside of ourselves, but it is, that feeling. That is what I'm sensing here. So, because right now even, I don't feel bad, but I have a feeling in my gut that there's just, I'm frustrated. I'm not getting what I need. I'm not experiencing things in the way that I need to experience them. I'm blocked. I have other people that are causing me to feel out of alignment, and I'm empowering that with this feeling, and I haven't figured out how to overcome it, other than through exerting myself physically or escaping with like weed or whatever. So it's just facing our truth, and knowing that that's a process, having faith that this is, God universe comes through when we need it. I'll take one clarifier and then I'll read our Osho thing. I know this is a long reading, so an hour. It's the first time we've had an hour long reading in quite some time, so it's because it's some pretty deep energy here, right? So if you've needed this, then I'm sure it will come through for you accordingly, and you'll still be here listening to this at this point. If it wasn't for you and your life is perfect and whatever else, you're probably not watching this anyway, so I don't know why I'm talking to you. I don't need a clarifier. That's what I'm getting. No. Just read the Osho Zen card. This naked figure sits on the lotus leaf of perfection, gazing at the beauty of the night sky. She knows that home is not a physical place in the outside world, but an inner quality of relaxation and acceptance. The stars, the rocks, the trees, the flowers, fish and birds are all our brothers and sisters in this dance of life. We human beings tend to forget this as we pursue our own private agendas and believe we must fight to get what we need. But ultimately, our sense of separateness is just an illusion manufactured by the narrow preoccupations of the mind. Now is the time to look at whether you are allowing yourself to receive the extraordinary gift of feeling at home, wherever you are. If you are, be sure to take time to savor it so it can deepen and remain with you. If, on the other hand, you've been feeling like the world is out to get you, it's time to take a break. Go outside tonight and look at the stars. You are not accidental. Existence needs you. Without you, something will be missing in existence and nobody can replace it. That's what gives you dignity. That the whole existence will miss you. The stars and the sun and the moon, the trees and the birds and earth, everything in the universe will feel a small place is vacant, which cannot be filled by anybody except you. This gives you a tremendous joy, a fulfillment that you are related to existence, and existence cares for you. Once you are clean and clear, you can see tremendous love falling on you from all dimensions. That pretty much sums it up, right? So let's get through this. Let's figure this out. Let's have this experience, and let's see each other in a week and see where we're at with that. And hopefully I'll be able to express that this all manifested in accordance with this reading, with examples. But until then, I wish you a glorious week to come, with and without the pressures and shedding. Namaste.